Hello, everybody. So it falls to me to introduce the work we've been doing on ad blocking. We've got an expert panel to join. We've got some interesting presentation stuff to come. Before I get into that, Claire's asked me to check in with anybody that's come for the Academy. The Academy is downstairs. Here is where the ad blocking action is happening. Here's where we're going to solve ad blocking in the next hour and a half. And so let me jump in and give you an introduction of where we're at and what we've been doing. Oh, hang on. I've got this. Right. Okay. Here today, this is kind of part of a campaign we've been doing on ad blocking. We've done lots of research with our members. We've kind of looked at what was important, what wasn't. Ad blocking didn't hit the top of the list. But as we've gone through, we've had two workshops. We had a workshop February the 16th, June the 14th. As we've researched with our members, we've started to see that that's maybe a bit more of a problem than externally there appears to be. So let's look at what we've learned, what the output was, and where we've gone, and then some far more expert people than me will help us figure out what we're going to do. So why we're here. Ad blocking is a significant threat to premium publisher. It's one of the most significant threats and a growing threat, and we'll look at why that is. It's one of those things that is, let's say, not just a problem, it's an opportunity. Now, I hate it when people say that, right? Because they're obviously talking about something that is awful, but in this case, it's a genuine opportunity to put revenue back on your bottom line. We're going to talk about how that happens, what you need to do, and how you need to be prepared for it. So, these aren't definitive figures. There aren't definitive figures in the market for what's going on in ad blocking. This is from our workshop in February. We all sat there and with experts looking at this, we said, we know that this problem is growing. Even if the figures don't always bear it out, this problem is growing, and there are things happening that are coming that will make this problem more of a challenge that we need to face. So we're not trying to say that these are definitive numbers. The next thing was that, as I mentioned before, is ad blocking the biggest problem that publishers see, or is it perceived to be? No, but as we started to look at this, we started to realise that publishers were losing significant amounts of money, and not everyone was aware of how much revenue they were losing. So we made a decision to look into that space, and also to look at what practices you could adopt that would help in the fight against ad blocking. The audit that was carried out by the redoubtable Anthony Jones, who was our insight director. Here's what we found out. From 13 members, only one was using paying ad block plus to negate ad blocking. Not every member is looking into this area in depth, although everyone's kind of interested. And we then said, okay, tell us how much blocking you think is occurring, and tell us how much revenue you think you're losing. So it's estimates. Okay, well, 12, 15% ad blocking rates, they're going up, they're going down across the quarters. That is something we'll come on to talk about in a bit more detail as we bring the expert panel on. But perhaps more important is the amount being lost per member. So one member estimated they were losing as much as £2 million per annum. Median publisher loss, median means the number in the middle, because there was a big spread of numbers. Median 500,000. So most publishers could stand to gain tens of thousands of pounds in revenue in the fight against ad blocking. So it's got to be a good opportunity. We also talked in our workshop about collective user interaction. And it was quite simple, and I'll talk about the hypothesis. A number of our members said, okay, if we are going to start negotiating with ad block users, we fear that those users will then go to another publisher in the same vertical. Why don't we try something together? And if we do that, then we get the chance for more users to opt into advertising, and we make that value exchange more explicit across in this vertical. So that's something that we're working on. You should see something on that in the not too distant future. And then our following workshop in June showed us that, and this is the clearest thing, is that if you are able to combat ad blocking, that success that you generate is pure additional revenue, straight on the bottom line. So we're trying to encourage knowledge of this kind of, I know many of you know this, right? But for those that don't, and for those that are struggling to make this the priority they'd like it to be, actually there's a great opportunity there. So we also came up with, okay, we know the threat is growing, another output. We understand we need to look into Safari and Google Chrome. We've got Thomas Schreiber from Google Chrome today to speak to us about where they're headed and what they're doing. And we've also created a publication that's launched, now, that goes into not just those numbers that I've shown you there, but also the kinds of practices that various members are using to combat ad blocking, the best examples that they have. And we've asked some technology suppliers in there as well to talk about their particular approach to ad blocking, how they see the space. So it's a very useful piece. So please go there. So now you won't have to listen to me for much longer. We're going to invite Tom up to talk about the emerging strategy for Google Chrome, how he sees the world. And then we're going to have a panel discussion. I'm going to moderate that. Tom Jennon from Real Ventures will join us. We'll also have Richard Brinley from Vibrant Media and Nick Flood from Dennis Publishing. So without any further ado, I want to invite Thomas Schreiber up to give us the Google perspective.